What's your cosplay name and all that good stuff?
Like, are you asking me now?
Yeah, so when I say action, Hey Internet YouTube world, Brian here with Brian Imaging. We're back again with another video. This time we're trying out some new stuff called Face2Face. This is where I just throw a bunch of questions to a cosplayer or whatever content creator or friend of mine or streamer, and they answer back. So today's guest is ZackAttackCosplay, who's been a friend of mine for the last 7-8 years. I think 7-8 years, but 2013, so that goes what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oh crap, 7. We'll go with 7. So the past 7 years. He's been cosplaying for more than 15. He's a great and talented cosplayer. So yeah, just check it out. Oh, and before you guys check it out, don't forget to like and subscribe. Cool? Cool. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Zach. Most people might know me as ZackAttackCosplay or costuming, and I've been cosplaying closer to 20 years now. Loaded question. So I come from a very artistically inclined family. So my whole childhood was always surrounded by making and crafting different things. So I wouldn't say there was a starting point, which is funny because I was like, oh, I've been doing it for this long. It's just kind of always been something I always try to do. I think as kids we always played dress up. So I think I just got a little more serious as I realized there was an avenue as a hobby in it, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's a really loaded question for me. A lot of people ask me that, and I never really know how to answer it. It's just kind of, I got into it because it just, I don't know, it just felt right doing it. It changes. I mean, for a long time, it was a lot of the Dick Grayson stuff. So, I was doing Robin for a while. I was doing Nightwing. That was a lot of fun. I mean, there was even a period where I was doing Deadpool stuff, but Spider-Man's always a nice, fun one. I would think these days, doing Batman's a really fun one to cosplay, and I can't say I have a favorite. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it enough, if that makes sense. That's a good question. I did a Superman suit recently that I really liked that was kind of based on the Superman Returns aesthetic. But oh man, that's a tough one. I guess if I had to pick one, maybe one of my Green Lanterns. I did do a really good Green Lantern commission for a friend, like a Hal Jordan that I really liked. It's hard to say. Maybe just safe answer, my blue Batman I just finished recently. We'll say that. That's a good one. that was a long progress of getting things to color match. I think it was just me getting back to simplicity because I've been doing a lot of complicated looking costumes, and getting everything to color match because blue is surprisingly difficult when you're working with trying to color match things in different mediums. So you're trying to get urethane to match, you're trying to get suede fabrics to match, you're trying to get other types of rubbers to match like TAS 16, or you're even trying to get rubberized shoe soles and all these other things and fabrics to kind of blend and mix and match and kind of give you that same comic book aesthetic. So I would say my blue Batman recently. I've worn Spider-Man into the ground. I've gone through a few Spider-Man costumes. I have a Spider-Man based on the 616. So I would say Spider-Man is one of those that I've worn into the ground. Yeah. It depends. Anything can go from a simple 2-hour build to a week and a half, even a month. I did a Shazam inspired build based off the movie. And that was kind of a couple of days, but when you put the time clock together, the fabrication part was 5 hours. Doing the finishing touches, stuff like that. That was another 3 to 4 hours maybe. I really like my 52 Rebirth flash. That took about a day or two to put together. I think what made that one really difficult was finding the right shoes to use for the boots. But it could range. It could be literally, I could do something in a day, or I could just take as long up to like 2 to 3 months on a project. I think that could fall towards a really annoying Superman suit. So I did the CW Superman suit, and that was kind of frustrating. Only because of the type of material I was using. Had a silicone-based ink, which made sewing a nightmare even after I did things to knock down the tackiness of the silicone. Used to texture the fabric, so I had to use like a baby powder. And then that wasn't working all the time, so I had to like combine a Teflon foot and a baby powder. And a couple other things just to get the top stitching on it to work. Breaking that pattern down was also really difficult. But I would say following that, I think I did a Jedi robe from Knights of the Old Republic, and that was kind of annoying because it wraps in 2 different directions. So I had to like figure that out because I'm a little dyslexic. So getting that was kind of annoying. So I think all costumes I've done have had some semblance of annoyance to them, but I would say that CW Superman was kind of a pain in the butt. But once I kind of got the ball rolling on it, it was like one and done kind of deal. Eventually you find a rhythm and everything just kind of falls into place. I don't think I could say that in an interview. Dance belts, wear a dance belt. Stop finding an excuse, just wear the stupid dance belt. And like, figure out how to wear the dance belt appropriately. I can't tell you how annoying it is to be at a convention, to like watch people talk about how much they love interacting with kids, but never wearing a dance belt properly. And I wouldn't say that they're never wearing the dance belt properly either. Sometimes they get in the wrong size or whatever. Take your time and do your homework when it comes to spandex. Just because the spandex is thick doesn't mean anything. Just because you're like, I'm wearing compression underwear, it doesn't mean anything. Get a dance belt. If you want to layer up to kind of help, do that. I've had to do that with some costumes. A dance belt is a type of undergarment for men, and there are ones for women. A dance belt comes in a handful of different styles. You have one which would be called the thong. It's a padded type of men's undergarment that helps tuck away your niblets. It kind of gets everything out of the... In the literal case of dancers, you would wear it to kind of get your stuff out of the way and kind of just help smoothen the appearance. In the case of cosplay, it's there to A, create modesty in a body-forming costume, if that makes sense. There are some that are full bottoms. And then there are some that are kind of just like, yeah, usually it's just different variations of the thong, and then the full bottom is just kind of pretty simple. Yeah, Wolverine. I made it too short in the torso, so it like, I have to like stand in it. I keep hitting the microphone. I have to like stand in it really weird to accommodate the ½ an inch that I didn't do in the back. That's the problem. I have a bit of a booty, so I have to add material in the back of my patterns to kind of like accommodate for how it form fits to my back. The Wolverine costume is one of those that gets really uncomfortable because it just kind of rides up in an uncomfortable way. I'm trying to think of another one that might be uncomfortable. None that I could really think of. Even the muscle suits, I put everything together, I take things apart, and I work with people to make sure that comfort is one of the top priorities for most of my costumes. So I would say the Wolverine one's just one of the few that are a little uncomfortable. It sounds so generic, just have fun with it. Remember to have fun with it. Don't take yourself as serious. The people that take themselves serious are people that have a stake in something. And that's weird to explain in such a short, condensed form of a statement. But you do have people out there that take themselves seriously, and I would say respect that. But in the scenario, like if you're just doing it to have fun at a convention or to just hang out with your friends, have fun with it. Don't let other people and their standards affect you and how you feel or your value, if that makes sense. That's probably a better way to describe it. Don't let other people's skill levels offset how you value yourself and how much you value the fun that comes out of cosplay. That's probably what I would say now these days. Back then it's always changed, but I always have to remind people, I'm like, there's a lot happening. There's so much that's changed in just the past 2 decades alone. You know, it's become much more accessible to people. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's not as good as yours, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if yours is as good as mine. If you're having fun with it and you appreciate it, what does it matter? And so I would say don't diminish your own value because of somebody else and what they're doing with it. It's not competitive. As much as people will try to sell you the competitive nature, it is there. And I hate that it's there, but it is there. But if you're literally just trying to do it to have fun with it, just do it to have fun with it first. If it's one of those things that you're like, I want to pursue something with this, that's a different story. But if you're literally just like, I want to get my feet wet and get into this, start slow. Don't hit the ground sprinting like you're some anime character. Just have fun with it first. You just get to like decompress, get out of the stressful living conditions that we're all in right now, and it's just getting worse half the time. I feel like when I like stop paying attention to nerdy things and I look at the real world, I'm like, oh, it's getting worse. Cool. It's a nice way to get out, decompress, and just kind of live up your childhood dreams, man. Like, how many of us as kids sit and think, oh, I want to be Batman, or I want to be Superman, or I want to be a Power Ranger, or something like that. Actually, I have video evidence somewhere of me saying, I was like, well, I'm gonna be a Ninja Turtle. Like, so it's cool to be able to kind of live out those sort of like childhood fantasies and just kind of like, you know, make it a reality and just have fun with it. Yeah. I've been doing it for a while. I think going back to like 2008 is when I really started doing hospital visits. I think the first time I ever did a hospital visit, I was like robbing. It's fun. It's not for everyone. I learned that. There was a period where I tried to make everybody do it, and I tried to, like, again, it's one of those, the older I got, the more I learned I needed to stop asserting myself on people and what the things that work for me work for people. So I learned charity work isn't for everyone. Unfortunately, I learned that charity work isn't always for the selfless. So there's a lot of pros and cons to my time doing charity work. I think I've made some of the best friendships doing it. And I would hope that I've left positive impressions for people doing it, specifically the families I've interacted with, and the kids that I've had the opportunity to kind of bring characters to life. It's been kind of an awesome, rewarding experience, and it's kind of given my cosplay a bit of a greater purpose as opposed to just sitting there waiting for a convention to roll around or reaching out to photographers or trying to make a fan film. I think for me personally, it was just the better way to really get something out of the investment. Like, it wasn't just making a costume at that point, and it kind of helped me push my quality and my ability to represent these characters a little harder, which again, without realizing it, made me kind of force those on others without realizing it at times. And I think the older I got, the more I realized that. But in all, I think it was a rewarding experience being able to do charity work. I've worked with Make-A-Wish. I've worked at volunteering with Give Kids the World. I've been able to visit different hospitals throughout Florida, and just being able to like help alleviate some of the traumatic events that children are going through when they're in hospitals, either as simple as like a broken arm, or they're like terminal. And I think the more upsetting thing one day was we were doing a hospital visit, and I was kind of venting to one of the hospital staff. It was our head coordinator that we worked with. She was in charge of like the children's wing and engagement and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, you know, we're trying to imply more restrictions to create a better authenticity for some of the people coming through the group and this and that. And she was like, yeah, that's really appreciated because we don't tell you guys, but sometimes they don't make it through the night after you guys see them that day, which my girlfriend didn't do too well that morning because, you know, it just kind of hit her harder when we went to each room. It's very interesting. It's not that's why I say it's not for everyone. We've had well-known cosplayers go with us. I won't say who, but you know, she walked into a room, saw a kid hooked up with tubes, and immediately had to excuse herself because it was like, nobody wants to see this. Like, she didn't want that kid to see that kind of moment of vulnerability from a superhero. That should kind of help instill that level of fortitude and like hope. So it's not for everyone. I'll say that. I learned that now. I think the more mature I am about it these days, it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. But if you, I mean, I have a friend who's been doing it a little, he joined up shortly after I kind of got into it. I kind of roped him in. And I mean, like, he's had to go to therapy for some stuff because he's a lot more hardcore than I am. He definitely does a lot more volunteer work than I do these days. I've had to take breaks because it just gets really hard to sleep at night. When you kind of just think about, I'm at home enjoying my time and doing this and that, but there's a kid literally over here and their family is just suffering. It sometimes gets to you, and so the breaks are important. But I can't say that I regret a single moment of being able to do those things and bring those characters to life, because it just helps add the authenticity and the drive to want to be authentic. Dragon. End of story.
And why?
Dragon. That's both the answers. Okay, I mean, real talk, San Diego was super awesome. I got to go to San Diego. I got to befriend some amazing industry friends. I will never forget how awesome San Diego Comic-Con was. I've been to a couple of other different, also comic book expos are very different, because I've gone to a couple of the fit expos to like work for another brand, and that's interesting. But seeing the trade-off of comic book and stuff like that, San Diego was awesome, but man, nothing beats Dragon Con. That's not to say I've had nothing but awesome memories. I have had some of the worst Dragon Cons in my life, but it's Dragon Con. There's something about the like energy, the atmosphere that just kind of it feels like Neverland. You ever watch the movie Hook and you're like, man, as a kid, you're like, I want to have like this crazy atmosphere of just silly antics and things. Like, I don't know what it is about Dragon Con, but Dragon Con to me feels like Neverland. And like, that's a place I always wanted to go as a kid. So being an adult, being able to go and enjoy Dragon Con. I mean, I've had my hard drinking nights. I can't do it anymore. I've had my hard drinking nights. I've had my heartbreak. I've been a terrible person at times, but I feel like I've grown the most every time after Dragon Con. Like, I come out of Dragon Con with lessons learned, or just learned new things about myself, or I've made really great friendships. Dragon Con's just always been this weird melting pot of experience and just fun. I was gonna say, when I met Dean Cain, but he's kind of a terrible person now. Ooh, that's a good one. It's hard. It's hard, man. It's Dragon Con. That's like asking me to pick one of my favorite children. I guess a sweet little memory is when I met my girlfriend, because we were both kind of in just really bad places at that time. And I was hanging out with my friend Michael. I've never met him in person, so this is like the first year he's been to a Dragon Con, so I was like hanging out with him in the lobby of the Marriott next to the escalators. I was in Spider-Man, and him and I were talking, and he goes, oh, it's just somebody's behind you. And I like turn around, there's just this like little timid Gwen Stacy, and she's like, hey, and I like wasn't wearing the mask. Typically I would wear the mask, but like it's Dragon Con, so I wasn't wearing it. And she was like, oh, do you mind if I can get a photo? Like, I don't mean to interrupt. She was super sweet. She was super like laid back. So we got a couple of pictures and stuff. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, she was cool. And he was like, we chuckled about it, and then we just kind of went off on our day. I didn't think, here we are like 3-4 years later, her and I are now moving out, getting our own place kind of thing. So I really appreciate that memory. I think that was the same weekend we did like this really big Marvel, well, there's always a big Marvel shoot, but I think I was in a big Marvel shoot in that same Spider-Man suit, and we were in the lobby of the Hilton. So this is like a part 2 to that story, I guess, but not involving my girlfriend, so it's still Spider-Man. And it was like all of us, like the Avengers. Like there was a group of us in movie costumes, and then there was my derpy face in the comic book look. And there was a little girl. I love the children at Dragon Con because it's like Sunday is when parents bring their kids. And this little girl runs up, and I'm sitting there like posing, and everybody like, not for the sake of people aren't acknowledging the kid, but they're kind of like more focused on standing there taking pictures. So because I'm down here, I'm looking at this kid, she like runs up with her Disney book. I was like, why do you have a Disney book in Georgia? She like runs up with her little Disney autograph book, and she's like, can I get your autograph? I think she was like 6 or 7 at best. Super sweet little girl. And I was like, yeah, dude, like totally. So I like sign her book, and I like start slapping everybody in the knees behind me. I was like, hey guys, our friend here would love to get autographs from the Avengers. You know, you guys. And they were like, oh yeah, we're taking pictures. I went, that's fine. You could take a second to sign a book. So we took a couple of pictures. The girl was super sweet. She gave me a hug. So I've always had pretty good memories of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always just a good memory with Dragon Con. So I would say any memory with Spider-Man. There's been other cool stuff too. Good times. Good, that's Dragon Con. Unfortunately. It was Jackie. We can blame Jackie for that. She was like, hey, I got a friend who's like getting into photography, and he wants to shoot my Spider-Girl. I told him you had like a badass Venom. Do you want to like go shoot? And I was like, yeah, sure. I think you learned the hard way I do jumps. Well, we got cool pictures out of that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, back during the 10th floor days.
When the 10th floor was cool.
Yeah, when the 10th floor was where you go for like the cool stuff.
Before the chair.
Before the dark times. Before the Empire, Luke. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
But we've done pretty much other spider jumps since then over the Dragon Con years.
Yeah, I gotten older too, so my knees don't do the same. I think that's back when I could get like a 4 or 5 foot vertical, no effort. Now I'm like, hey man, let me do this because I've messed up my ankle this many weeks back or whatever. We got a lot of cool ones though, I think. But you've gotten way better over time, man. Like you've gotten some cool stuff, and I'm thankful for that, man. And so but a good example of Dragon Con, like an awesome friendship. I can shit on you, you shit on me. It's great, you know. Yeah, no, good times. I don't forget that. It was a fun because you were like real nervous. Yeah, I like walked up. I was like, hey, what's up, man? You were like, oh hey, oh shit, man, that's kind of legit. All right. And I was like, so what do you want? And you were like, oh, I don't know. What can you do? I went, how fast is your shutter speed? You're still kind of like that, but it's like, you know what you're doing now. You got it. It's all good.
We've taken a lot of photos since then.
Yeah, I think we know the procedure these days. So it's we have a procedure now, which is still funny because you'll still have those moments where you're like, ugh. I'm like, bro, it's fine. Now the people who put up with me, y'all know who you are. I mean, some of y'all are gonna take your own responsibility in that scenario. But the people who put up with me, because I am not the easiest of people to have been around through the like near 2 decades of me cosplaying, and I'm aware of it. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've hurt a lot of people, and I've done a lot of what I hopefully view in my mind as growing others see. So really, it's just a shout out to everybody who has genuinely put up with me and have put me in my place or have given me the space I needed to grow, if that makes sense. But also, shout out to my girlfriend, because she puts up with me more than everybody. Yeah. Shout out to you, man. You put up with me. Any photographer that's ever put up with me. Woo! Shout out to the photographers. Ooh. Because I'm not a diva, I know that, but I'm also not the easiest to shoot sometimes. I try to do my best to make it easy. But I think it's the older I got, the more docile I have gotten. So shout out to everybody who's ever put up with me over the years. If you met me at a con and you caught me on a bad day, I'm sorry. It happens. I'm human. Let's remember that for everyone ever. Yeah. Shout out to the people who just put up with me and my girlfriend, mainly her.
Give us your social media stuff.
ZackAttackCosplay. I'm private. I don't really look for the attention, which is so funny. I'm a cosplayer, right? You would think I look for the attention. Not really. You could put in a request and see what happens. I have a TikTok. That's actually the only public thing I have, ZackAttackCosplay. Other than that, I'm pretty private. Yeah, I used to be real public, just had a lot of bad experiences, so just respect the privacy. But you're welcome to try to look for it, or just follow all of these amazing photographers that I work with, like Brian over here, or Ryan Sims Photography, or Operation Shutter, Victorix Photography. I'm trying to think of some other names. Wageboard Productions. Oh, man, there's too many. So I would say if you really want to try to follow my work, look for the photographers who have shot with me. If you can't get into my private stuff.
Brian, yes? Brian, it's raining. Look, it's snowing. Hey, Meg, Thanksgiving's over. Help me set up for Christmas. Meg!